God became human to lead us back to God. When I ponder that belief, I am reminded that God is empathetic. Empathy is the ability to stand in the shoes of another person and to experience and understand things from the other person's point of view. Empathy, unfortunately, has been on the decline in human beings since the 1970s. Stanford psychologist Jamil Zaki theorizes in his book, The War for Kindness, that there is a strong correlation between increased use of technology and the decline in empathy. The less we listen to each other in person, the lower our capacity for empathy becomes. So why is this important for leaders? Why should leaders care about dropping rates in empathy? Well, for one, especially if you're a Christian leader, it makes you less godlike if you're less empathetic. God became one of us, lived in our skin, empathizes with us as the key method for leading us back to love. Empathy is a core Christian method for inspiring others to change and to grow. In purely human terms, Jamil Zaki also cites abundant research that suggests empathy is the reason Homo sapiens, our ancestors, survived difficult epochs of history, while other human species, such as the Neanderthals, became extinct. It was empathy that was our key to survival. Empathy is a soft skill that packs a ton of power. We believe that listening with what we call detached presence is a godlike way to lead others. Detached presence is listening with empathy. You detach yourself for the moment from your own agenda so that you can enter into the experiences of another person. The goal is to give the other person the honor of being truly heard. When we listen with detached presence, we amplify the unique voice of God that speaks in the recesses of a person's heart by not drowning out the voice of God with our own directing voice. When we give the gift of listening to those we lead, we give them the honor of being heard, of being free to explore, of being in a space where they can hear God's callings more clearly. We restrain ourselves from telling them what to do, so there is space for God's Spirit of love to guide them. It's a manner of staying out of God's way. How do we listen with detached presence? Well, here are some characteristics to consider, and then I'll propose a method. I don't tell the person what to do. I don't tell the person how to think. I don't judge the person, no matter what I hear. Judgment belongs to God. I trust that the other person is in God's hands and on a sacred journey. I trust that if I listen actively, God will do the work of guiding and directing. I stay curious all the time. I make observations about what I'm noticing and verify for accuracy. I invite the person to action. So the method for listening with detached presence includes certain dispositions. Restraint. Resist making the conversation about your agenda so you can focus on the agenda of the other. Trust. God's love will guide. God's love, experienced in your listening act of love, will be the guide. Trust this. Curiosity. Ask open questions to encourage the other to explore. Questions that begin with what or how tend to be powerful questions. Follow-up questions also signal that you are listening deeply. Honesty. Say what you see, again, without a desire to direct. You'll notice patterns, contradictions, shifts in energy, things you don't quite understand, and more when you are listening. Share what you notice honestly and lovingly. After you share, be quiet and let the other verify, correct, or modify what you noticed. Then return to open questions. And finally, encouragement. Invite and encourage the other to act on what he or she is hearing. God has called the other to new insights. But insights by themselves will change little. Action is needed, and action often calls for courage. Invite and encourage the other to clarify what God is calling him or her to do. Encourage the other to follow that calling. So here's the method in short. 1. Restrain yourself from being directive. 2. Trust that God's love will be the guide. 3. Be curious and ask open questions. 4. Be honest and share what you notice. 5. Encourage the other to act. Try this. Try listening with detached presence the next time someone approaches you to discuss an issue.